might be hurt.
In this painting, I was thinking in terms of combining candy.
I will if you make it first.
Hello, welcome to On Cue. My name's Sharon Robertson, manager of the Florissant Civic Center Theater. Today I'm here with Sharon Cotner and Joe O'Connor from the Alpha Players of Florissant, and they are here to discuss their upcoming musical of 1776. 1776 is a musical with music and lyrics by Sherman Edwards and based on the book by Peter Stone. The story is based on events surrounding the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and it dramatizes the efforts of John Adams persuading his colleagues to vote for American independence and to sign the document. It premiered on Broadway in 1969, earning warm reviews and ran for over 1,200 performances. The production was nominated for 5 Tony Awards and won 3, including Tony Award for Best Musical. In 1972, it was made into a popular film adaptation and was revived on Broadway in 1997. Sharon and Joe, thank you for being here with us today. And let's start with your involvement in the Alpha Players. Sharon, I know you have worn many hats over the years with the group. And what is your current role with 1776?
For 1776, I'm the costume designer.
The costume designer. Mm-hmm. And now this is a period show, obviously, you know, you can go right from the title and know that much, but yes. Tell us about some of your work with the costumes on the show.
We're very fortunate because in the cast we have a reenactor from that time period. So he has very graciously provided me with a lot of reference books, as well as some of his costumes that he's worn previously. And so we're doing a lot of research, making sure that the cut of the clothes look correct, that the patterns on the clothes look correct.
And you're making a lot of these.
At this point, we're making all of them.
All of them. So you're not renting
We're not
them
renting
from
from anything, from anyone.
Besides being costume designer for the show, you were president of the Players for many years, and are you currently in like a board position with them?
Yes, we recently elected a new board in June, and so I'm now the president again. I had a hiatus for a while.
Okay, but you're back being in charge, as you should be.
I don't know about
that.
Well,
I don't want to take away from anybody else's work that's been working as president, but you know, we always appreciate you there. Joe, I know you're a role in this show coming up, but I hear that you've worked on 1776 before.
I did. Someone told you, I guess.
Yes.
I had the privilege and pleasure of doing this show 40 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And there was a touring company coming into Belleville, New Jersey.
Okay.
It was a dinner theater company, and I was in the show that was currently going on, which was, I think was Funny Girl. And they said, oh, we'll pay you X amount of dollars, which wasn't much, but whatever it was. I was like, oh, money, okay. I had to learn the part, John Hancock, and then perform it for a week, I guess it was. And I didn't know the play. I had to put in rehearsal with about 5 of the actors. There's, 22 in the show, roughly. And so I met some of the same people where I was getting dressed in my costume and went on stage with a bunch of people I didn't know.
That's terrifying.
It was fine because I was young and I didn't care. I was like, okay, this is good. They
were paying you for it, and
well, I was John Hancock. I could actually have the script on the.
That's right.
On the desk, so
that's,
it was.
That's a good move.
I did learn the role. So, but at one point I did say, the chair would like to take this opportunity to welcome the Reverend Jonathan Witherspoon to Congress, and appoint him congressional custodian if he will accept the honor. And my coworker says, Tompkins, I think it was. Is it Tompkins? He goes, didn't you mean chaplain? Whatever. Let's move on.
Yes.
So
those moments happen. That's live theater for you, right?
It was. Yeah, that was live theater.
Who do you play in the current show?
I am Stephen Hopkins, the old delegate from Rhode Island. He's the oldest man in Congress. except for Ben Franklin. He is the heartiest drinker in Congress in this show.
He likes his rum, I seem to remember.
Continuously.
Continuously. All right. Some of you might remember Joe from last year's production of Oliver, where he portrayed Fagin. And you've also you've been in some other Alpha Players shows, haven't you?
I first did Drowsy Chaperone with
Yes.
Alpha Players, and that was when I first got to know Alpha Players. It's such for me, my feeling is it's a really good group of people to be with, to work with. The atmosphere is always very positive. The nice thing about this show is that there's some Monette who's doing the choreography, and
Monette Dennis.
Yes, and Janet was in Oliver, so I know her from that, and a lot of the same people, a lot of new people. So it's just and so far, I think when the show opens, and they do sit down, John, the audience is going to go, whoa, because the voices are just glorious. It just hits you with it, and you know exactly what the show is, what it's about from the minute it starts. It's really charming.
You mentioned Monette Dennis as the choreographer. She's done more than many shows with the Alpha Players over the years.
Yeah.
And she's sort of a staple in choreography in North County here. You were mentioning some other players that were also in the cast. I know that you had said you said to me that Mark Moore is also involved. He was in Les Miserables with you guys, and he also you could not forget him as the scene-stealing Adolfo in Drowsy Chaperone. I really enjoyed him in that production.
He was great in that.
That's every time I see him, that's all I can think about. Every time I see him is in that role. Tell me about some of the other characters we might see, or performers, like who, because this cast is a little unique in that it's primarily an all-male cast, except there are two women?
There are 26 men and 2 women.
Oh.
And of the 26 men, 2 are children.
Okay.
Or, well, children, teens.
Okay.
And so there's a total cast of 28, which is kind of small for our musicals. We are usually up in the 40s usually.
But they're pretty much, I mean, not all, the whole show, but a lot of times they're all on stage, aren't they?
They're almost on stage nonstop. They'll be in the background in one form or another.
Most
There's
of
a
the
couple.
play. Most of the
couple
play.
scenes that they're not, but for the most part they're there.
And the 2 women characters, that's Abigail Adams
and Martha Jefferson.
Martha Jefferson, okay.
Thomas Jefferson's wife.
And who plays?
Abigail Adams is played by Lisa Rosenstock.
Okay.
And Lisa's
I don't
done
know
a
who she
lot
is.
she's done a lot of community theater around town.
Okay.
But she was also in our production of Les Mis.
Then I've
she was
seen
in a
her in-
minor. You've seen her. You
Okay.
might not have known her name. And then Martha Jefferson is played by Stephanie Merritt.
Who's often involved in many aspects of the theater throughout St. Louis, whether it's in the
Correct.
directing chair or on stage. And I know I've seen her on our stage many
Right.
times.
They are
before.
both going to be so good. I just heard them for the first time last night.
Yeah, they're good.
Really,
They're-
really good voices.
Yeah. And then there's Paul Balfe.
Paul Balfe.
Who will be Hancock.
Okay.
People might remember him. He was, is it Mr. Bumble? In the
Yes.
Yeah,
In
Mr.
Oliver.
In Oliver, a big guy with an imposing voice.
He was also in Dearly Departed.
He was in Dearly Departed as
Most
well.
recently, yes.
And Bob Veach, who's done a lot of our shows.
Old Bob
Good
Veach.
Bob,
I-
yeah. He plays.
Bob is involved in every aspect of the community theater
right.
here in Florissant, and
He's
is-
a go-to kind of guy.
Yes, he is. Very reliable and just a wonderful man to be around.
But in this one, he's not feeling so well because he's Caesar Rodney.
Oh,
so he's
okay.
sick. So they'll know a lot of the people in the background. Bill Miller was just in Dearly Departed as well.
Okay.
There's several other folks in the show that people will possibly recognize from some of our other productions.
Now, it's being musically directed by Michael Blackwood, who
Correct.
Just recently received an Arts for Life award for
Oliver.
He
for
received
Oliver.
it for his portrayal in Oliver.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
being
he's-
on stage instead of
Correct.
down in the pit.
Yeah.
Besides talking about 1776 today, we also wanted to remind viewers of the Alpha Players upcoming season. Sharon, I think you could tell us a good deal about that, and why don't we just let you go on that?
Oh, okay. The way we select a season is we have a committee that kind of gets together and discusses, and we try to figure out what our audiences really want to see. And so this year, with the election and everything, we were kind of in a red, white, and blue mood, I guess, sort of Americana-ish, because what we ended up with was 1776 going in. And then after that, we have To Kill a Mockingbird, which is by Christopher Sergel, and it's based on Harper Lee's novel. And then after that, we have like pure classic Americana with Harvey by Mary Chase, which some folks may recognize from the movie with Jimmy Stewart,
okay.
With the Invisible Rabbit. And it actually started off as a play.
Okay.
So those are our three very, very, very American productions for this season.
And who will be directing these?
I will be directing To Kill a Mockingbird,
Okay.
and Danny Brown will be directing Harvey for us.
Danny Brown also often in many shows that he's involved with this one also, I believe.
Correct.
Right?
He is the assistant director for this one. And so, so we have 3 shows. The To Kill a Mockingbird is in March, and then in May is Harvey, in May of 2017. So.
You have season ticket for all of these shows, or season ticket, options for people. Can you tell anybody about what those are and how much those are?
Yeah, we have 2 season tickets. One is for the adults, which is in place of an adult fare, and that is $40. And then we have a senior and student season ticket, which is $36. So for the most part, if you look at buying individual tickets versus buying a season ticket, you end up paying $1, $2 for the 3rd show.
Okay.
So
That's
you're
really
almost
worth it.
Yeah, it's like 28% off. It's pretty good buy. Plus, you get to exchange your tickets if you have a February show and it snows 8 inches and you don't feel like driving, you can call up the Civic Center and switch the ticket seats for another night.
For season tickets, they want to contact the Alpha Players, correct?
They can do either way.
Okay.
They could call the Civic Center box office, and the people in the box office know what to do. The other thing they can do is to call our Alpha Players cell phone, which is 314-258-3018. And someone will answer that and take an order as well.
Now, there's something else I'd like to mention. In talking with you earlier, Joe, you said you were involved with 1776 over 40 years ago, and how do you remember that? And can you talk a little bit about that with us?
Well, it wasn't over. It was exactly 40 years. The reason I remember it was the bicentennial, which is why they were doing it. And those that were around at that time, that was a really big deal for our country. And in fact, what they did is they chose to show this show at Radio City Music Hall because it had been out for a few years. I think the film came out in '72.
Yes.
And if anyone does see the film is almost verbatim the play. So you will see. So I went over to see it there because I lived right across the river. I lived in New Jersey. My accent, it's still there, I think. And it was just amazing to see it on that screen. In fact, you know what? Virginia Vestoff, who I knew her somewhat back in the '70s. She played Abigail Adams in the original Company, and she played Abigail Adams in the film. Lovely actress. She was in a play with my cousin Joe Mahar. Joe Mahar at one point he held a record for being 3 times nominated but hadn't won a Tony Award. And they were in a play called Spoke Song with John Lithgow. And so I had gone to see the show a couple of times. I went to see it when they had a understudy go in, and so I went out with them, with the cast, John Lithgow and Virginia Vestoff, and then my cousin had a play playing in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So I rode out on the train and sat with her and chatted about it, and she was nothing but charming and sweet and very energetic about her theater. And so since I was just starting to get involved in theater, and because I wanted to work in theater professionally, and I did for a number of years in New York before I moved here. I moved here about 18 years ago. Now I do it just as a passion project. But at any rate, that's how I remember. It was the bicentennial year. It was 1776. It was, I think, in the fall. So it's almost 40 years.
You mentioned New Brunswick, which is also, is that mentioned in the stage version? I know it's mentioned in the movie.
Naked bathing,
Yeah,
and the
have
prostitutes. That's
Yes.
why Benjamin Franklin has to go down and check that out.
Yeah, and he's ready to go as soon as they mention that. You know,
Yeah.
he's sort of apprehensive at first, and then as soon as that's brought into the picture, whole Ben Franklin was ready to go.
Yeah, I have to. My character reminds him.
Yes. Why did you move to St. Louis?
I worked for TWA at JFK Airport.
Okay.
They moved operations for TWA to St. Louis, and I became an operations manager in the crew scheduling department. And since that was my career at that point in time, I moved from the East Village of New York to here. I also had a brother that lived here, and he and his wife were just starting to have kids, and I thought it would be nice to see my niece and nephew grow up. So
you've been doing and around theater your whole entire life, and
since
you
I
know,
was about
and being
15.
outside of New York City, you got to go to Broadway shows, I guess, growing up. Or
when I went to college at Seton Hall, when I started, I worked at a radio station, and I did that because I wasn't getting cast in the plays there, so I would do plays at different places, and usually like little professional places. So I had a radio program called Backstage, and then I would go to Broadway and interview actors. It was great because you got free tickets. You called up and talked to the press agent and said, "Hi, we're coming to see Irene. Can we see Miss Reynolds after the show?" "Oh, okay." And my first interview was with Debbie Reynolds. I was like, whoa.
Yes.
I was like
Whoa.
19. I was like, hi. So that was how I got to know more. And Seton Hall is only 30 miles from New York City, and I lived in Jersey City, which is right across the river. So I grew up virtually in and around New York my whole life. We used to go to Radio City for the Christmas show and the Easter show every year.
Fantastic.
It was. It's something that you take for granted when it's like we take for granted the arch in a sense. I mean, it's there, but sometimes people don't appreciate the history of it and how it came to be. And I was a tour guide here for a short time, so I enjoyed learning all of the facts about that.
As we come to the end of the show today, I just wanted to say a few words to leave us with. First, 1776 opens on September 30th at 7:30 p.m. and has performances on October 1st, October 7th, and 8th at 7:30 p.m. and closes on October 9th with a 2 p.m. matinee. Tickets are $20 for adults, $18 for seniors and students, and $12 for children 12 and under. And there are group rates available for groups of 10 or more. Come out and see this wonderful show. You won't regret it. And remember, all the people that are involved with this production, take time out of their regular lives. They all have day jobs, and they're rehearsing this at night, and trying to bring professional quality productions to life right here in our backyard, Florissant, at the Civic Center Theater, at the newly named Gary Gaydos Auditorium. Thank you for watching On Cue, and stay tuned for the calendar of events segment of our program. Thank you.
In the last 10 years, he's killed over 250,000 people. More than the population of Salt Lake City. The drunk driver. Tougher laws are being passed, but nothing can protect you from him like your seatbelt. It doubles your chances of surviving. Don't let drunk drivers do a number on you. Wear your seatbelt.
Okay. Welcome back to On Cue. Coming up in October, the Florissant Fine Arts Council presents the Bald Knobbers Jamboree from Branson, October 16th at 2 p.m. The Branson family entertainment phenomenon began over 55 years ago in 1959 when the four Mabe brothers, known as the Bald Knobbers, began entertaining visitors on the Branson lakefront. Today, the family legacy continues with the second and third generations of the Mabe family carrying on the family tradition of great country music and hilarious comedy. Joined by a cast of dynamic singers, musicians, comedians, and entertainers, they perform your favorite country classics, new country hits, and lots of side-splitting comedy. Admission is $28 for adults, $26 for seniors and students, and group rates are available. Dayspring School for the Arts presents the classical ballet Sleeping Beauty, October 21st and 22nd. For information, please call the theater box office 314-921-5678. Also in October, North Wind's Concert Band presents Sunday Afternoon at the Pops, October 23rd at 3 p.m. Under the direction of Larry Marsh. Don't miss an opportunity to hear one of the best wind ensembles here in St. Louis as they present a lively program of marches, big band tunes, and music from Broadway and movies. Tickets are $8 for adults and $6 for seniors and students. And any other information about the North Winds Band, you can check them out online at www.northwindsband.org. In November, the Hawthorne Players present Driving Miss Daisy. This warm-hearted, unlikely relationship between an aging white Southern lady and a proud, soft-spoken African-American man. Just one you won't want to miss. The audience is able to follow a span for 25 years as the two, despite their mutual differences, grow ever closer to and more dependent on each other. Admission is $18 for adults, $16 for seniors and students, and group rates are available. The Alpha Players will be holding auditions to Kill a Mockingbird November 14th, with callbacks on November 15th if needed. For more information, go to www.alphaplayers.org. The Florissant Fine Arts Council will continue their season with Fabulous Fanny, the songs and stories of Fanny Brice, from Main Stage Artists Management, November 19th at 8 p.m. This one-woman show takes a look into the life and relationships of the legendary Fanny Brice, the inspiration for the musical Funny Girl. Kimberly Faye Greenberg has now created an intimate new show about Fanny Brice and the songs and stories of her. Admission is $28 for adults, $26 for seniors and students, and group rates also available. The St. Louis Family Theater Series opens its new season with A Christmas Carol from TheaterWorks USA, November 20th at 2 p.m., November 25th and 26th, also at 2 p.m. This musical interpretation of the Charles Dickens classic captures both the humorous and touching moments of the classic story with witty dialogue and fresh new songs, conveying Dickens' original message that the holiday season should be a kind, forgiving, charitable time, a sentiment which still rings true today. Admission is $8 to all, and group rates are available. The Florissant Fine Arts Council presents the Applause 2016-2017 series with financial support from their members, the Regional Arts Commission, the Missouri Arts Council, the Employees Community Fund of Boeing St. Louis, and the City of Florissant. And the St. Louis Family Theater series gratefully acknowledges financial support from the City of Florissant, American Eagle Credit Union, Missouri Arts Council, and the Regional Arts Commission. Just a reminder, individual tickets go on sale 45 days prior to the opening of any production. Our box office hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and arrangements to purchase tickets can be made by calling us at area code 314-921-5678 or visit us online at www.florissantmo.com. Any additional information, you can call 24 hours a day and leave us a message and we'll get back to you. Thank you for watching On Cue.